Okay, here's an interesting question for us all. Why is the mainstream media dying? Why is it being taken over slowly but surely, well, not even so slowly, by internet alternatives? I think it's quite simple. The natural demand for mainstream media is based on the fact that news is massive. It's everywhere. It's a bottomless pit to learn about. So, what do we want? We want an agency of sorts that can and will simplify and prioritize our focus for us. But it can't just be an agency. It has to be an agency we can trust. Okay. Traditionally, historically, how has the mainstream media created that trust? They've done it in the very expensive way, which is basically to create a very, very strong, faultless image of professionalism. One little problem with doing that, creating trust that way. It's extremely expensive. It's like making a movie. Every scene has to be exactly right constructed. It's like every scene, even if it's going for just 2 or 3 seconds, almost has to be built like a work of art. Believe me, nothing just happens behind a camera when that is your focus of professionalism. And the thing is, with the internet, that mode is struggling to compete due to its severely high costs with the other way of creating trust, and that is to simply use a developed persona. For example, Tucker Carlson, he's trusted. Or for many people, Russell Brand, they're trusted. And when you have that trust and people want to follow the persona, then you don't really need professionalism. Well, you do need some, of course, but you don't need professionalism of the type that costs millions and millions of dollars. So the business model of using personas over professionalism, or extreme professionalism, is winning, flat out, very, very quickly. And the truth is, personas that are truly trusted stand head and shoulders above professionalism for achieving a real effective trust nowadays anyway. Especially with the exposure of blatant corruption, well, blatant propaganda and one-eyedness, one-sided storyness that we just saw with the COVID show. The old world of cutting-edge professionalism is breaking down in its value because it's proven itself to be basically a beggar wearing an emperor's clothes. It's bollocks anyway. I can't see this trend reversing unless the powers that be somehow get their tentacles right inside the alternative media or the internet-based media that uses personas, because it's ultimately more powerful, and it's the way everything's evolving, and the mainstream media cannot compete with that business model of just using personas. But make no mistake, the powers that be, that have typically been dependent on a very expensive and therefore inherently easy to control media, will want these internet persona people dead and buried as a significant force, or at least highly controlled. We saw that, for example, with Russell Brand, who has the ability to bring leftists onto more of a right side of thinking. The powers that be went all out trying to incriminate him and slander him. Luckily, not too successfully, because people are now starting to wise up about how things really work. That is, people at scale. So it's going to be an interesting thing going forward, seeing what the media turns into. Ultimately, it'll depend on how shameless the powers that be want to be to block the alternatives to mainstream media, or co-opt them, or turn them into some kind of controlled opposition, etc. Okay, that's all.